Hey again, guys. This video I will devote to the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. And the way we started that one was we actually started with an equilateral triangle. So those of you that were here, you kind of already saw this, but I'll do it again for the sake of helping out those that need it. Okay, we started out with an equilateral triangle. Okay, so all the angles, of course, have to be 60. And when we draw in this altitude, we basically break this equilateral triangle up into two smaller, the equilateral triangle we break up into two smaller right triangles. So just focus your eyes on this triangle for the moment. I'll redraw just that triangle. And this is our special right triangle. Okay, 30, 60, 90. By the way, 30 because each of the 60 got broken up into two congruent angles, so 30 there. So 30, 60, 90, I literally just picked that up, moved it over so we can focus on that. And then what I said was, suppose I give you this piece. Let's say this piece is, 4. Okay? And this is going to be x and this is going to be y. And we need to figure out what x and y are based on that 4. Okay? So again, just like in the 45, 45, 90, there was a lot of this going on, which is great. That's a good setup. Again, two unknowns. Okay? If I put the 4 here and I put the x here and I put the y here, it's the same equation. If you just look at this one, and you haven't learned the new special tricks yet, then you're right. There's nothing you can do. But because we built it from an equilateral triangle, you were supposed to recognize that if this piece was 4, then this piece is 4. And this whole thing is 8. If this whole thing is 8, then this is 8, this is 8, this is 8. And now you know another piece of the puzzle. That means this has to be 8. Okay? So in our 30, 60, 90 right triangle, the side across from the 30 we called x, the side across from the 90 then would have to be 2x. And the only mystery was what's in the middle. Okay, so let's figure that out now. So 4 squared plus x squared, right, that's still unknown, is 8 squared. And let's clean that up. 16 plus x squared equals 64. So x squared equals, what's that, 48. Take the square root of both sides. X equals the square root of 48. We got to break down 48. Now 48 can be broken down several different ways, but I'm going to try to find the biggest perfect square in there, and I believe the biggest perfect square is going to be 16. So x equals the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. 16 times 3 is 48. If you happen to pick a different number, it's not a big deal. You just have to keep going. Like 24 and 2, right? You'd have to break down 24. So this ends up turning into 4 square roots of 3, and okay, I guess that's 4 square roots of 3. Okay, the hard part was coming up with the pattern, and just to save a little time, I could do these all day long, and every time I do it, I will get 4 radical 3, 8, 6 radical 3, 12, 20 radical 3, 40. I would always double to get this one, and this one always seemed to just have a square root of 3 kind of attached. Okay, so if this is x, this would be x times the square root of 3, which seems a little confusing because, it just kind of comes out of nowhere, but it comes from the Pythagorean theorem. So let's kind of generalize it again like we did last time. Let's just focus again here. I'll set it up the same way, but I'll just use x here. This is 2x. That's no big deal, right? I think we all agree, no matter what, if you're starting with this kind of triangle, whatever I give you here, right, if I give you just x here, you're going to agree that that's got to, I shouldn't use x because I used it here. Pretend that's not there. All right, if I use x here, well, then that's got to be x, which means this whole side is 2x. If this whole side is 2x, then all 3 sides are 2x. And that's why that one's pretty quick and simple if you just start there. So I like starting there because I think it's easier to understand. The hard one is this one. So I'm going to actually call that B because that's one of my legs. So let's go A, B, C, something like that. All right, Pythagorean theorem, here we come. X squared plus B squared equals, and here's where we usually, a lot of us got a little tripped up. It's not 2x squared. It's 2x squared. Because remember, this would have started like this. Technically, we probably could have started like that. But what's C? C is 2x. So I put the 2x right where I have the C. The whole C gets squared. Okay, now you're not going to have to regenerate this on your own, but that's where it comes from. I want you to understand. So x squared plus b squared equals 2 squared, of course, is 4. X squared is obviously x squared, and now we can solve. B squared equals, let's see, subtract this from both sides. And no, those don't just cancel, right? This is like 4 apples minus 1 apple. How many apples I got left? I got 3 apples left. Okay, you're not dividing by x squared, you're subtracting x squared. So I have 4x squareds in the first place, take 1 away, now I have 3x squareds. So if b squared equals 3x squared, now I can take the square root like I did before. B equals, break it up. This is really no different than what I did in the other video. So if you watch the other video, it's identical. If you're watching this video first, then maybe go back and watch the other one because I explained these steps a little bit more in detail. So b equals, let's see, that turns into just x, square root of 3. There's absolutely nothing. Oh my gosh. sorry. Equals x, square root of 3. All right, there's absolutely nothing I can do about the square root of 3. It just comes along for the ride, and there's your b. So in a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, the side across from the 30, if we call that x, let's try to get there as fast as possible. If they give you this one, great. If they don't give you this one, try to find this one as fast as you can. Then I take across from the 30 is x, across from the 60 is x radical 3, and then across from the 90 is the 2x, which is exactly what we found when we just looked at the pattern itself. Okay, it was always 4 and 8, it was always 10 and 20, it was always 50 and 100, it was always 1,000 and 2,000, and then this was always the small leg times the square root of 3. Okay, and there's your 30, 60, 90 pattern. Now let's try a couple with that pattern. Okay, let's try to switch it up a little bit for you. Let's say, alright, I have a 30, 60, 90 for sure, right? The angles are there, that's no big deal. And suppose I give you this, and I say solve for x and y. Alright, so you look at your pattern. You always have your pattern handy until you get used to it a little more. And you ask yourself, which piece are they giving me? Okay, the side across from the 30 is the x. Okay, that's the small side. It goes small, medium, big. Small, medium, big. They gave us the small piece. That goes here. So to build that up, well, that's probably the easiest one you're going to get because they're actually giving you the smaller piece. 7 radical 3. 7 times 2 is 14. Done. No Pythagorean theorem necessary when it's this special right triangle. Okay, that's all well and good, but what if, I'll give you the same picture just to help out for this one. What if, they give us, I don't know, this piece, and that's x and that's y. Again, ask yourself which piece of the puzzle are you in? Are you small? Are you medium? Are you big? Are you across from the small? Are you across from the medium? Or are you across from the big? You're across from the big for this one, so that lines up here. The 10 goes here. And now we got to go backwards. Now I don't recommend going from here to here. It's doable, but it's very tricky. The easier method would be to go from, if you have this one, to go from here all the way back to the beginning, all the way back to the small side. I promise you, when you get the small piece, it makes the whole thing go much easier. So to go from 10 all the way down to the small leg, we have to go backwards. To go from small to big, I would go x and times 2. To go back, I take the 10 and I subtract, and I divide by 2. Okay? If I multiply by 2 to build it up, well then I divide by 2 to go back down. So that's 5. And now once you get this one, the middle is easy. If you know this one, the middle is just the same number times the square root of 3. Done. Okay? One more to show. This one's probably the harder one of the two because there's a lot of different possibilities. You don't have two sides that are the same. So let me do one more for you just so you can see every type that you'll probably end up seeing. 60, 30, 90. So I gave you this one once. I gave you this one once. Uh-oh. I guess we need to try this one. How about, I don't know. Let's go with 9. Okay? Again, ask yourself which piece of the puzzle that they're giving you. Small, medium, big. Oh, I should label X and Y. Small, medium, big. They're giving us the medium. That's this one. Again, I don't recommend going up to, from medium to big or big to medium. I recommend always finding the small one as fast as you can. If they give you the small one, great. If not, get there as fast as you can. So if I know the medium, to go from small to medium, I multiplied by square root of 3. So to go from medium back to small, I got to divide by the square root of 3. Sorry about the spacing there. 9 divided by the square root of 3. And again, just like in the 45/45, we have to simplify that. Let's do that on the side. So I multiply by that square root of 3, but I got to do it on the top too. So that's 9 square root of 3 over, that's 3, and it just conveniently simplifies to 3 square roots of 3. So let me rewrite it over here. I'll write it underneath. 3 square root of 3, 9, and then I still have a blank, right? I have this one, I don't know that one. But again, once you find this one, you can find the big one by simply doubling. So I need to multiply this by 2. Now I can only multiply this 3 by 2, not the square root of 3, right? Because I can't multiply a square root by a number that's not a square root. So it's 2 times 3 square roots of 3, which is 6 square roots of 3. Okay? So 3 square root of 3 doubled would be 6 square roots of 3. And now you've got yourself all the pieces you need. Okay? I hope that helps. Again, please ask questions. I know this is tricky, especially when you have to go backwards. But I tell you, if you just practice them and you do enough problems, you'll get it eventually. It just takes some practice. So let me know if you need help. I'll be around, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, see ya.